Okay, so these are the main eligibility points that apply to visual arts artists. You must be 25 or older at the time of the deadline. You must be a Utah resident 2 years prior to the application. Individuals enrolled in any degree granting program are not eligible to apply. If you've received the fellowship before, you may not apply, as this is a one-time award. Artist teams are not eligible to apply. You must have a legal right to receive taxable income in the United States. And if you are a family, board, or committee member, or an employee of Utah Arts and Museums, you are also not eligible to apply. And lastly, but very, very importantly, artists must be originators of the work submitted. So those are a few things to just, check off and make sure that you meet all of those requirements. Okay, Tori, go ahead and share your screen. Okay, can you scroll down and go into the application? So first of all, of course, we'll have your contact information, and this is just serves a few different purposes, of course, to contact you, to notify you of the results later in April. But we also like to know where you're from, which county you're from. This allows us to make sure that if there are any gaps in our promoting of this fellowship, that we are targeting those communities. We have an agreement that basically asks you to certify that you do meet all of the requirements and eligibility that we went over just now. And that's just an easy check mark for you to be aware of. And then as we move down, the artist bio. This is a really important piece of information that where the juror is able to learn who you are. But we really want you to be mindful of the information that you include. You can talk about the medium that you work in, the key themes found in your art practice, your education, maybe mention the most significant award that you've received recently. And you can expand a little bit or start talking about a little bit about current projects. And of course, you can mention where you live and work, but we really want you to be mindful of the word limit. This is really not the place where you should be copying and pasting things from your CV. We really want to avoid duplicating that information. So this is just a really nice snippet of who you are as an artist. And we like this bio to be written in the third person. This allows us to, if you are to receive the fellowship, we can share that bio about you. And so it's nice to have it written in the third person, which is normal practice for an artist bio as well. The next item is an artist statement. Now, this is where we really want you to tell us about your art, your intent, and what your practice is about, the overarching concepts behind it. You have a limit of 500 words, and you are welcome to use that full space. This is where you really want to grab the juror's attention to talk about what you're trying to achieve with your work. We can provide some resources about how to write an artist statement. If you are not super familiar with the process or just want to know a little bit more about how that should look like. Okay, so can you scroll down a little bit more? And any questions so far? Okay. So this is one of the next short answer questions that we have, which is to describe why this fellowship is important to your artistic practice and development. You have 300 words to express that. And what we're looking for, what the juror will be looking for here is for you to talk about, at this point in your artistic career, how will receiving this award help you move forward with your practice, with projects that you may be working on. And this is a place where you can really be honest about any financial needs that you might have as far as your art practice goes, and some ideas that you might have and how you would use those funds. And do keep in mind that, as we said, these are unrestricted funds. So it's really to help you as a person, as an artist, to grow that artistic practice. And there are many ways in which that could happen, whether it's supporting the rent of a studio, or if you're working on a large project, to support the completion of that project. So there are many different ways in which you can talk about why this fellowship award is important. But make sure that it's direct and gets to the point of why you're applying for this fellowship. The next item is the artist website. This is an optional item. You do not have to have a website to apply for this fellowship. The juror may select to look at your website or not. This is really as a supplemental item that you can provide. Again, don't feel the need to have a website. We really let the juror know that this is an optional item and it doesn't really affect the results either way. The next item is your artist CV and resume. This is very, very important in showing what your experience has been as an artist. So what you will be including in this document is your education, documentation of exhibition history, awards or grants that you may have received, any commissions or collections that your work is in, any publications where your work may have appeared, and if you do have gallery representation, you may also include that information. This CV cannot be longer than 8 pages. That may sound like a lot, but this information, once you start putting it on paper, can get quite lengthy. So just be aware of the information that you're including and that it does not exceed 8 pages. Again, if you're wondering, what does a professional CV look like? We also have some resources for that, and we can share those with you. And for any of these resources, you can email me or Tori directly, and we'll share those with you on an email. Okay, and then the work samples. We ask you to submit a maximum of 10 images to your application, and this should be work that was completed over the last 5 years. Part of this is to be aware of the quality of your images. Make sure that you are reading through the specs that we provide, so that your work samples can look great. It's very specific information, and this is part of the reason we're asking you and encouraging you to start your application early, because we want you to really read through what is requested so you can submit correct work samples. This is the area where we see the most issues happening, so we really want you to be aware of and take the time to prepare your files. If you have specific questions about submitting video samples, we usually suggest that the best way to share those is to send, to include a link to a Vimeo or YouTube page that you have set to for us to access, so that we can view it that way. It's the easiest way for the jurors to see it. Our submittable platform, if you include an MP4 or MPG file, something like that, what they have to do is download it first to view it, which can cause some issues. So if you're able to upload any video files that you have on Vimeo, YouTube, something like that, that would be great. And that first pre-screen that we do as staff, we do make sure that we can view your files, whether they're still files or video files. So if there are any issues, we will let you know. But it's always best that you make sure that everything's working before you submit your application. A couple of things that we ask for your images, or work samples rather, is the title, the medium, the year completed, and dimensions. Now, with the medium, we often see people submit things saying photography. What we want to know, it's not necessarily the media, but the medium. How is this presented? So if it's an inkjet print, we want to know that. If it's a mixed media work, we want to know what type of materials you used to create it. So that is what's included in the medium. Year completed, again, make sure that the work that you're submitting is within the last 5 years, and of course, the dimensions. Okay, let's go down a little bit more. Again, there's the option to submit up to 10 images. We highly encourage you to take advantage of that and to really show the juror what your work looks like. But again, it's optional to submit as many as 10. Now, the last part of the application is the demographic questions. And these are not something that the juror views at all, and they will not have an impact on the selection of the fellows. This is information for us as in the Division of Arts and Museums to know who we are serving through this program. So it's all optional. You do not have to give us any of this information, but we do appreciate having it as it really helps us to see who we are engaging through our programming. And I believe that this is the last part of the application. It's a very simple application. We really want to create something that's accessible and that is not too time consuming. We know that all of these, as artists, we submit to so many things and we are spending a lot of time in these opportunities. And so we really want to make sure that while we are asking for thorough information, that it's also something that's easy to fill out, accessible, and not super time consuming. So that's really what this application looks like and what you will be required to enter. Any questions about this process?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Last year, I seem to recall that there was a timeline for when funds were supposed to be used by, and you mentioned that it's unrestricted. Do we need to, I'm assuming we'll need to give an accounting for what we use the money on by a certain date?
No,
well?
So the fellowship has never really had that restriction because they are unrestricted funds. And you may be thinking about our individual artist scholarships, which do have a period in which the money needs to be used. With the fellowship, it's different. It's unrestricted. You're not required to submit a report. So once those funds go out to you, you really don't have any other responsibilities with us as far as those funds go. Good question. Anyone else?
I have a couple of questions.
Okay.
The application